In 221 BC, China changed forever. The Qin dynasty unified the warring states, and for the first time, a central government standardized weights and measurements, the width of carts and chariots' wheels, and writing. This set the stage for a shared identity to take root. In records of the grand historian, Sima Qian marked this as the dawn of a new era. The Qin dynasty was short-lived, but its influence was lasting. Dynasties rose and fell, yet the idea of unity remained. This is the story of how a vast land, more diverse than many realize, came together as one civilization, and how that identity has endured for thousands of years. Unity never meant sameness. From the northern steppes to the southern coast, people spoke many tongues and followed many ways of life. What held them together was one powerful idea. Many could still belong to one. That unity is both the result of China's long history and the reason it continues to thrive. Today, as the world seeks peace and harmony, China's journey offers a fresh perspective. True strength comes not from erasing differences, but from staying connected across landscapes, across generations, across cultures, and from building a shared future together.
I'm Gao Wenji from Taiwan. I've lived on the mainland for over 20 years, traveling across most of China. As a passionate food scholar and traveler, I came for the flavors. I stayed for the stories. Everywhere I went, things looked different. The food, the festivals, the sounds in the air. But beneath it all, I felt something similar. What holds a land this vast, this varied together? To find out, I'm setting out once more to the farthest edges of the nation and deeper into the roots of its civilization. My first stop is Xinjiang. I'm on the hunt for something that's been lost to central China for over 1,000 years.
我听说，在这座博物馆里收藏了一件非常有意思的吐鲁番文书。
您说的是1300年前一个小学生的作业吗？
对，迫不及待想看一下。
写书今日了，先生莫闲迟。明朝是假日，早放学甚乖。
这就是那个12岁的少年蒲天寿抄写的《龙语正全著》，这是他的作业本，特别长，有5.38米。
5.38米，这个书法写的比我写的好多了。汉语是这里的官方语言。
对呀，而且也是普通大众用的语言。
自己作业写完了，自己写了个打油诗。
对
，1300年来，小学生的愿望都是一样的。
对。东汉时期，经学家郑玄对《龙语》呢又进行了注释，对，所以很多当时的学生的课本一样，学生是按这个来学习，和中原的教育体系都是一样的。
是，我知道的是《论语正全注》好像从唐朝末年就已经失传了。
对，也只有吐鲁番这么干燥的环境，这些有机质文物，尤其这些纸质文书能够保存下来。
The 12-year-old Butianshou probably never imagined that his homework would help preserve a lost piece of history for over 1,300 years. Director Ding told me it was discovered in the ancient Istana tombs in the Gobi Desert. This 10-square-kilometer public cemetery revealed valuable documents, such as official records, legal papers, and letters written in Chinese. It's striking how closely linked the Western regions were to the central government. To find out what daily life was really like, I'm heading to a UNESCO-listed ancient city 10 kilometers west of Turpan.
陈老师，
高老师好，
你好，你好，
见面了，
你好，
见面了，嗯，
麻烦您了。
哎，客气了，
带我
客气了
逛逛交河故城。这座城为什么会有这么特别的历史价值？
它不像一般的城市一样，它这一般城市都是，用这个是夯土啊，这个就是整个包括道路、房间、寺院都是挖出来的，
规模这么大。
再往前面就是官署区，就是像中央政府的汉唐、长安城、洛阳城一样，在最中间建的皇宫，这个地方就是当时唐朝的。
Perched on a cliff, this natural fortress wasn't built up. It was carved down deep into the earth. It once held the highest Tang Dynasty offices in the West. Over 10,000 people called it home. The world's largest, longest-lived clay city is still standing, thanks to those who chose to guard its silence.
我爷爷是1972年开始，他就是参加了这个交河古城的文物保护工作。当时呢，我爷爷一个人，他就是承担了这个文物遗址的日常的文物巡视、巡查工作，而且呢，也没有日常巡视的那个交通工具。当时呢，只能陪了这只毛驴巡视交河古城。
巡视就是靠这只毛驴驮着它到处走。
他就是陪了我爷爷20年。我爸爸也在这里工作了32年
，3代人做同样的工作，而且我觉得是非常值得骄傲的工作。
我们的童年记忆就在这里，然后呢，每一天放学回来，我们生活还在这边。每一天起来一出门就看到的是交河古城。
对，今天我们还能看得到，这个珍贵的一个历史的痕迹，还是要感谢你们。
白日登山望烽火，黄昏映马傍交河。
In Turpan, I didn't just explore living history and vibrant culture. I met fascinating people. The true vastness of a land isn't just in its geography, but in the shared emotions and connections that bind us all. Across the river of time, I head toward a vast prairie in Xinjiang, where another legendary story still lives on. On China's largest alpine grassland. Every summer, when the grass turns lush, the Naadam Festival fills the prairie with celebration. Here, it's also known as the Dongui Festival. Dongui means returning to the east. In Hejing County, that word is everywhere. It marks a powerful memory, the Turgut Mongols' journey back to China, their ancestral homeland. To understand more, I met a Turgut descendant, now curator of the Dongui Museum. Before anything else, he said we needed to see a tree.
这棵树，
对，
您为什么一定要带我来看一棵大树？
这棵树呢，就是当年1771年，我们的首领九五八西居住东归，回到祖国以后呢，到这里，然后呢，发现有一棵树。
是，
这树呢，当时不大，对大拇指大的。
才大拇指大，
然后呢，回到祖国的嘛，他把那个
红绳子做了个记号，
记号，这个说明不管是什么民族的，
是。你想从当初就这么细的树，
对，
到今天已经长这么大，
对，不容易。
It was an epic journey. In the 17th century, the Turgut Mongols moved west in search of richer pastures, settling near the Volga River. But over time, life under Tsarist rule became unbearable. In 1771, Wubashi Khan led them on a return east, crossing nearly 10,000 kilometers. They finally made it home to the Ili River Valley. Wubashi and his descendants later settled in what is now Hejing County, close to the Ili region.
这个地方为什么会叫呼钦衙门村呢？
呼钦就是老的意思，
老的，
衙门呢也就是政府嘛，
所以这就是当年的王府的所在地。
对，乌巴西的王府，
乌巴西的首领的王府就在这个地方。
对，
这个东归并不是一路很顺利的就走回来。
对，刚出发的时候17万人，回到祖国的时候才6万2千多人，
就沿路上已经牺牲了10几万人。
对对。
In the Bilingual Museum, a powerful painting brings the story to life. Its artist is a descendant of the Torgut. Through brush and memory, history speaks, not just to one people, but to the world.
这个画长度17比7，高度2米4，里面的人物1万多2万，主要是这个乌巴西中心位置。
画的是下雪的天，
对，冬天的那个
是
东归路很艰难，他好多人病死、饿死。这个小孩是孤儿嘛，父母都没了。
他等于是从这一头一路往这边，也是一个时间的一个演变嘛，从作战到慢慢的，对，到达想要去的地方。
这就是希望了，回归祖国，太阳升起地方。
Wabashi was just 28 years old when he led the arduous journey back east, the same age I was in university. 250 kilometers from Beijing is the Chengde Mountain Resort, once the Qing Emperor's summer palace. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In one of its temples, 2 stone tablets still stand. They bear inscriptions by Emperor Qianlong, honoring the Torgut's return, and were erected after his meeting with Wubashi. He was hailed as a hero.
立这个碑的目的，乾隆皇帝是让子孙后代要记住这个东归壮举，
是
祖国统一永远是大事儿。
所以这里头其实是有很多的故事。
我们就围绕这个万里东归做的这个布展，从这个西迁，然后东归回到祖国以后安置到这儿，然后历代汉王维护祖国统一这一块也做了很大工作。满林女士也想尽办法，尽她的所能，帮助我们。
Mon Lin, mentioned by the curator, is the 13th generation descendant of Wubashi and the daughter of the last Khan of the Torgut Mongols. The museum we're in now was once the palace and the place where she grew up.
如果当时没有这个祖国人民的支援和关怀，还有今天的美丽的托尔湖的草原上的人民吗？我及我女儿们，我们要全力以赴的来帮助，把这个博物馆让它更充实，让它更有说服力。
Here in Hajing County, around 30,000 Torgut live today. In the heart of town, the Central Park feels peaceful and serene. The bitter history lies far behind, but heroic legends and a deep pull of belonging still live on.
您的孙子吗？我们孙子，这真可爱，经常来这
经常在这看，还要看这个沃巴西这个
沃巴西的雕像，
这个像，看这个马。
我往那边去逛一逛。特别亲切，这不是在水一方吗？我从台湾过来。
哦，
所以这是我从小听到大的。
哦哟，哎，祖国台湾一家人。
是啊，是啊。
这是回族，我是汉族，那几个也是维族。我们新疆是各民族大团结的一个地方啊。
我其实在北京住了20年。但是我这是第一次到河静。
河静是东归故里，东归精神就是回归祖国。
是。
Before I left, the curator told me something that stayed with me.
谢谢。
40 years before Wubashi's journey, another group of Torgut Mongols had already returned east, settling in Aegean Banner, Inner Mongolia. But history called them again, this time not for survival, but for something larger than themselves. This is a half-scale model of the Long March 2 rocket, China's first to carry humans into space. Right here, on pastures once tended by herdsmen, rose China's first Earth satellite launch center. And that, to me, is the most human story of all.
这地方呢，是我们额济纳旗最后一任的这个额济纳旗的这个王爷，
是
塔旺加布的私人住宅。这1958年的5月初，在这儿最后确定了额济纳旗人民政府3次搬迁，和老百姓的10年大搬迁这一壮举。
Li Jing told me this vast, open land was chosen for China's first missile tests. But it wasn't empty. It was also home to the Torgut people, who had lived on these lush pastures for generations.
人民政府要搬出来，老百姓也要从那搬出来呀。
是，
把那块地方留给中国的这个尖端武器试验场所。
是，
而那个地方是额济纳旗草场最好的地方，这个工作很难做的呀。但是没想到塔旺加布先生听完这个话了以后呢，那就3个字：搬就搬。就把这个搬迁的事情彻底的落实。
这真的不容易啊！一块肥美的草场，那几乎是牧民的生命啊。
1958年是我们额济纳旗的牲畜总头数是14万头只，
对，
搬出来是7万0,381头只，
都得
把一半搬出来了。托尔扈特人这种爱国这种情怀，它是延续在血液中的，那就是当祖国需要的时候，我会无条件的去为它付出，为它贡献。
Saying goodbye was hard, but no one refused to move. As the space program kept growing, the boundaries kept shifting too. The herders who had already moved, and even the Banner government, had to move again, more than once. By the time the last family finally settled, it was 1970. The whole journey took 12 years. I'm visiting someone who was just 6 years old when her family left their home.
当时您的父母亲是怎么跟你说这个家里要搬迁这回事啊？
我小吧，那时候就说，孩子啊，咱们走吧，走很远很远的地方。当初搬家的时候，哎呀，确实是搬家，吃过好多苦，什么地方都走过，有水的地方没有草，有草的地方没有水。 没有想那么多的事儿，
反正就是国家的号召，然后我们就走就是了，
啊，
就跟着走
就是了啊。结果呢，这个蒙根谷是我妈妈，
这个叫蒙根谷，
这里面是我老妈就是去世前给我的，她说我给你装个那个故乡的图吧。搬迁的时候。 就是我们那个蒙古包的那个位置上，他就挖了以后就拿了做那个小袋袋，什么时候你就不要忘记自己的，
不要忘记自己家在哪。故
乡啊，他就亲自给我带上，他还给我唱的故乡的歌曲。 搬了20年，回来以后一看，咱们国家的航天城上发射国家，我们就非常的高兴。这就是我们故乡的土地，我们也就非常自豪的。
In 1970, China launched its first satellite. In 2003, its first astronaut went to space. By 2021, astronauts reached China's own space station. It all began with an enduring love for the land. and a resolve to do whatever it takes. My next stop, deep in the mountains of Abazong and Chong Autonomous Prefecture. Here, a circle dance tells a story passed down through generations. In the 1840s, as the First Opium War broke out on China's southeastern coast, more than 2,000 warriors from this remote highland set out to defend places most had never seen. The song says, even if he was the only son, he must go to the frontier to protect the land. They were warriors, as brave as lions. And when I stepped into that circle of dancers, I could almost hear the warriors' voices shouting and chanting as they marched toward the battlefield with steady, fearless steps. It was powerful and deeply moving.
今天葬在里头，还有屯军的后裔吗？
我们就是
你们就是
屯兵的后裔，因为我们这里是一父一兵，所以我们这个寨子里边都是我们屯兵的后代。对，
非常了不起的祖先啊！
是的，我们为我们的祖先感到骄傲和自豪。
对，
他们为我们祖国的统一而战。
而且。
Why would the Qing generals choose to send mountain troops to fight a war thousands of kilometers away? To find out, I met a local historian. He brought me to a rugged ridge high above the valley.
整个这个格局位置，包括周围的大的环境，
对，
它像个军事要塞，是个碉堡。
易守难攻嘛，执行屯兵制以后，普通的老百姓都变成了兵户了。他会参与国家的一些行动，参与战争，参与评判，参与抵御外辱。那么一代一代屯兵慢慢有了觉悟，我这个行为是国家行为，他从单一的一个民族意识、民族情怀，它上升为一个国家情怀。
国家情怀，国家意识。对，这也是。
Mr. Yu had told me that years ago, during road construction on this slope, they found burial mounds. No bodies. Just long braids and military tags. Locals called them braid graves. The graves are gone now, but the mystery stays with me.
大家知道三江辫子坟的由来吗？三江镇它在最早的时候多次奉朝廷之命出征，由于当时路途遥远，他们的遗体无法完整的运回故乡埋葬。 我们也就剪下他们的辫子以及腰牌，带回故乡埋葬。
Much like in Lixing County, young men from Sanjiang also formed the backbone of the army. And here, the braid graves still echo.
那在三江这个地区，大概像这样的辫子坟有多少座
？80年代我们修地方志嘛，为了把这个数据捞清楚啊，我们花了半年时间，挨家挨户去了解，然后就看他们的坟了，查阅了土司历次征战的纪律，究竟阵亡了多少？
是，
大约还有1600多座
，1600多座辫子坟。
Through his introduction, I met a descendant, a man whose forefathers were all lost on the battlefield during the war against the British.
这一座是我们的祖先，
是
徐成贵。
徐成贵，
这是我们的祖先徐花富。那个是徐花明，他们是三兄弟。分别2次。去宁波，在那里牺牲了。后来呢，无法将身体带回，只好带回了指甲、辫子，还有就是腰牌。轻微的衣物，一共4样东西，就分别葬在这4座坟。
还好这些墓都还保留了下来，虽然是很简单的一座衣冠冢，
对，
但其实它代表的是一代人为国家的奉献跟付出。
我们现在有第9代，但是呢，每一代人呢，都在祭奠，
是
祭奠他们的遗灵，保佑我们国家风调雨顺。
风调雨顺。
对。
They are all heroes. They hoped they would return, but they didn't. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's forging ahead, even when you're afraid. I never expected that, deep in the mountains, I'd be able to walk through the tunnel of history and witness this story. My final stop takes me to another mountain village, a border town nestled at the southern foot of the world's highest peaks. Yumai was once the smallest township by population in all of China, home to just one family of 3. In the 1960s, a herdsman settled here, and for over half a century, he and his 2 daughters guarded thousands of square kilometers of their homeland.
我外公三街区班也是榆蛮乡的第1任乡长，在外公三街区班的带领下，妈妈和姨妈依然坚持放牧巡边。这的话就是他们雷打不动的一个信念，也变成了一个执念。
The township has grown to 67 families and now has its own police station. His grandson told me that he and his family have always been proud of their dedication to patrolling the borders of the nation, a nation that now supports the growth and development of even the farthest reaches of its land. Even the smallest place can carry the weight of a nation, and even one family can hold the line. I've walked the path of those who never came back, and those who never left. This is not just China's story, it's a human story of how we remember, how we carry one another, and how, together, we keep moving forward. I'm Gao Wenju. Thank you for walking with me.